Hello everybody. So today I'm going to show you how to create an IPFS API with Helia and CommonJS. Sorry about the music, by the way. It helps distract me from the noise of the fans. So let's start by initializing our project. And since we initialize our project, let's install the packages that we need. We need the server ones, we need Express for the server, we need Multer for the first endpoint, to upload files, because this API is going to take a file, and store it on IPFS, and we have another endpoint is going to retrieve that file based on the file name, not the CID, but the file name. So Express, Multer, Helia, and Helia with this Unix file system. That's all. So while this is installing, let's create our server.js, and let's start with const express is equal to require Express, and Multer is equal to require Multer, right? Express for the server. Let's declare the app on Express, right? Let's declare an upload function or utility based on Multer, and this is for the first endpoint right here. This is the first endpoint. Okay, for the second endpoint we will be using JSON bodies request, and we'll be sending a JSON body as a request. Again, I'm sorry about the music, but the fans are too fucking loud. So second endpoints, right? So now we have this out of the way. Let's create an asynchronous function, create node. By the way, when we're done with the endpoints and stuff, I'm gonna show you some nice little tricks, hopefully you leave here with something, create Helia is equal to await imports Helia, and const Unix fs is equal to await imports Helia's Unix fs, and we're going to create Helia first, right? Await create Helia, and we're going to create a file system that uses Unix fs wrapped on Helia, on top of Helia basically. So we return fs, and let's start with the endpoints. So you need two endpoints, a post for the upload and a get for the fetch. Now of course you can use post here, it doesn't really matter, but just to keep things smoother, nicer looking, I'd rather use gets. So upload.single file, the file is going to take that we want to upload, which is this file, by the way. So, and it's going to be async because we're going to be calling that create node function from inside it. So basically we're gonna declare a file system here So what I'm doing here is I'm gonna create a node in each endpoint at first, you know, and then I'm gonna take the file from the request and I'm gonna write the buffer to a variable called data. I'm gonna take that data variable and write it to fs using add bytes. Add fs dot add bytes data, and I'm going to resolve or return status 201. Bro, who keeps disabling these buttons? I don't know. Dot send. Why 201? Because we created a resource. I just think it makes more sense. I don't know, you can send 200 if you want, doesn't really matter. Send your file has been uploaded. Now this CID here looks lonely, looks grayed out, nobody's used it yet, but we can change that. And why we're going to change that is because in the fetch we don't want to send the CID, we want to send the file name. So let's use the best data structure ever, a hash map, to keep track of the CID and the file name. New map, right? And we're going to say hash map dot set with the file name. Now with the request dot file name dot original dot file dot original name, the CID. Cool. Now the CID is not lonely anymore. It's useful for something. Now let's move on to the second endpoint, which is a fetch endpoint. We're going to make it async as well because we want to declare two nodes or create two nodes in each endpoint node. We use one to write the files and one to read the files, but there's not much difference, you know, and I'll show you why, because everything is a node basically. That doesn't make sense, but it will, like, in a bit. So we have a node here and we have a node here and we have a node up here, but we don't need this, but we should keep going anyway. So the file name, like we said, we're going to send it as a JSON body, quest.body.file name, right? And we're going to fetch the CID from the hash map using the file name. Now that we have the CID, we can start reading to our, but first we need something to read to, right? We need to declare something empty here, the text, and we'll say for await const chunks, because the data on IPFS is in chunks of cats, of fs.cat.cid, and we're gonna tell it, well, we need something to decode the chunks because they're going to be encoded. Text decoder. So we're going to decode these chunks and write them to the variable text, right? That's easy. Decode chunks. I think chunk is better, you know? Oh, chunks. We always wrote chunks. So since we decoded this, we wrote it to, we need to make sure the string is true. Yeah. So we don't run into any problems, right? Decoder.decode chunks. String is true. And then first of all, after this, we want to make sure we have the CID, right? That status 404 dot send. We could not find the file. Okay, and then resolve dot status dot 200 dot send text. Okay, this is rather very straightforward, very simple, very basic stuff. Create two nodes, one node inside the upload and the other node inside the fetch, and use them both. So let's try this. Server.js. Okay, cool. Install listening now. App.listen. Let's start with port 3000, and we have a function here, and so what I want to do here is console.log I am listening. Say something. And since we have that, let's run the server and try it out. Run the server. Okay, the server is saying that it's listening. Hey guys, I'm back. I hope you like the sound of fans. So this is where I stopped. I stopped at the server. Okay, I'm listening. Now let's try it out. This is at port 3000. Okay, cool. Where we create two nodes, one node here and one node here, but they're both basically the same node, right? So let's send a request, and you see how slow is that? Like very, very slow, super slow. It took about almost 3 seconds to complete. Let's try again. Okay, that was a bit faster, but maybe it's because of the cache or whatever. So let's try the fetch. We fetching and fetching and fetching, and it's fetching, and there's a lot of fetching going on, and the fans are getting louder, and it's still fetching. And bro, come on, this is too long. Okay, that took 21 seconds. I think that's the longest API calls that I've ever seen, Now, let's show you the nice parts, like the cool part. So, right here we're creating the nodes twice. What if we didn't do that? Like, what if we just created it once, But then again, you can't just create the node like this. You need to wrap it because it's in a wait. It needs to be inside an async function. So let's wrap the whole server or everything. Wrap this up in a function, and we call it run. And let's run. Right? We'll keep the first server going and start a new one. And yeah, of course, don't forget the ports, because the port is going to complain if you start two servers on the same port. Okay, so I already prepared all the requests. So on port 4000, let's add it up. Okay, uploaded. It took 619 milliseconds, but it was much faster, right? Now let's try fetching it. 1094 milliseconds is much better than 21 seconds, bro. There's no comparison. Like, it's much faster. Now it's only taking 7 milliseconds compared to this one, which took previously 21 seconds. Now let's see this one, how much. It's gonna take seconds, not milliseconds. So we've established that if we only create the node once, then it's better for us, because after all they are the same node. So we can go further here and maybe like not do all this, not have a function that create a node, and instead just create the node with the file system that we need, because like I think this makes more sense, right? We don't need to have a function to create a node. Why do you need that? Just create the node already. So on server.js, oh yeah, of course, the port is not available. Forgot about that. Adder in use. So let's go to port 5000. Let's see how long it takes. Boom, 249 milliseconds. I don't think it was 249 milliseconds. That was fast, very fast. Fetch 901. 895. 1305 milliseconds. Now there's a lot of things that could factor the speed here, but what I think is worth noting is just the difference between this, where we created two nodes and called the create node function twice, and this, where we just created it once. Because there's not much difference between this and this. They're like very close, They are very, very close. Even though this seems a bit faster, but I think that just depends a lot on a lot of things. But there's not much difference between port 4000 and port 5000. They're basically the same. Not much difference. Not the same, but there's not much difference. But this is the slow one. So in any case, just create one node. It's better, And that's it for me. Thank you for watching, and hit the like button.